Yeah, it's going down. H-Town, Howard Clark, B.Scott.
B.Scott from Hiram Clark, 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 B.Scott from Hiram Clark.
It is the B Block Podcast. Welcome in. I'm your host, Brandon Scott. I appreciate you for joining me. If you're catching us on YouTube, I appreciate that. Make sure you are subscribed. Check us out on the audio-only platforms as well, wherever it is you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, whichever it is. I am actually happy to be joined by a guest today, and it is a special guest. I must admit, I must say, my guy, Ron the Show, Hughley, host of The Drive with Sterner and Hughley on SportsRadio 610. Y'all can check that out Mondays through Fridays from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also check it out on, Odyssey app, iTunes, or what should I say, the iHeartRadio app. You can catch us on all of that now, and also on SportsRadio 610's YouTube. Also, could I say the Godfather of Foolish Club Media? How would you describe that? The visionary of Foolish Club Media.
And I'm just a part of the cog, man. Just a part of the scene, man. Just working just like everybody else on Foolish Club, baby.
Hey, I can tell you one thing that this guy is not humble. Hey, don't let that humble shit fool you. That's just my man talking. But hey, Ron, I appreciate you for joining me, man. How you living, man? How's everything?
I'm good. I just heard that introduction and I've been kicking this around. I this happened on a bet once. So that's it. I feel like I am growing, and now I'm 41 years old. Like, I'm wondering, is it time for me to stop with the show portion of things?
You think you're too old for a nickname?
Not too old, but I mean, not too old, because obviously, I think Hammer and Hank Goldberg went there all the way until his death. I believe he's no longer with us. I guess Cedric is still the entertainer, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've been kicking this around in my head and thinking, like, is it time to take the next step? Is it time to move on and just be Ron? I don't know yet. I haven't made a decision yet, but I just listening to you, it's just like, there it is again. Like,
I don't know if I like this whole midlife crisis thing that you're going through, man, because we already did this shit, Ron. We already did this thing with the nickname, the whole Bryce Young thing.
That was forced on me. That was forced.
Yeah, but it also felt like something was underlying there, like you were anticipating the midlife crisis that you're in now. And you're like, hey, man, I'm gonna go ahead and change my name. You don't change your name, man. I compare it to this, and it's funny you say you're 41 years old, so you are just a year or two younger than my first cousin, who is a third, right? Are you a third too?
I'm the second.
You're the second. So your son is, that's right. Your son is Trey.
Is the third, yeah.
Yeah. So my cousin is like your son. He's the third. He's Johnny the third, and he's been called John his whole life. Oh. And by the time he got grown, and even as a teenager, he didn't want to be called John no more, because it didn't feel serious. But the older he got back to John, and now he's in his early to mid 40s. He's just a year or two older than you, and now he's embracing the John in his life. Like, he's actually introducing himself as that. Like, he's reached that overcorrection. That other side of it is like, I don't give a damn what you think about my nickname.
Yeah. I've talked to Danny Parkins, and he said he's just going to keep going by Danny, and not and people are talking about maybe Dan Parkins. It's just no, but I mean, it's I don't know, man. I hadn't like it is crazy. For years there were so many people when I first got into it, because I know a lot of people don't the origin story of show. Like, hey, this happened in college in the MySpace era of times, of when, shout out to my guy Josh Smith, who did the background and graphics on my MySpace page and put the Ronnie H show on there, and that's kind of where it was born. And so many people, especially when I got into the business of radio and media, tried to push me away from it, and I was just yeah, it's just lame. And now I'm just to a point, like, now I've been kicking around, like, over the last year or so, like, is it time to graduate from this? Is it time to I don't know, if be more serious? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe this is beyond the gold rope chain that I want to get in my midlife crisis, or the new car or whatever. Maybe that's what it is. But I've been kicking it around.
See, I don't even think I realized the MySpace element of the story. I knew that the show had something to do with your personality and all of that. I didn't know it had anything to do with once you bring up MySpace, it make me think about one of my old MySpace names, and I damn sure ain't still going by that. I had ditched that by the time I got to the end of college.
Yeah,
So,
man.
yeah, I mean, they was calling your boy. They was calling your boy B Smooth back in the day.
Be smooth, huh? See,
Yeah.
I've had jobs. I had jobs outside of here. I used to work with at-risk youth, and we would have to monitor the kids every 30 minutes to an hour. And in the monitor, you got to sign your name every time. And I just would sign show. And they came to me at one point after a couple of months and said, you have to actually put your initials in there, because the records don't know show. We got to have your. So it's been that from job to job, baby. I just happen to start doing it in front of people at this point. But like I said, I ain't made no decision on it.
We can table that decision, and for right now, while you're a guest on the B Block podcast, you'll still be, unless you want otherwise. Unless you say otherwise, you'll be real. You'll be running the show.
You're the first person I've shared this with.
Yeah,
you're the first person I've shared this with.
Well, fortunately, this is a safe space. Speaking of safe spaces, or perhaps unsafe spaces, let me ask you this, because you and I were texting during the Rockets Nuggets game. It felt like the Thunder game because it went to overtime, and every time either the Rockets, Thunder, or Spurs or
Nuggets
play each other, it's a hell of a game. But this was Rockets Nuggets last night, and I went live here on the B Block to kind of lament and talk about this game. It was a hell of a game. Forget the result for a second, just the back and forth of it. I saw a graphic or a tweet, and it wasn't from an account that I was familiar with, so I hesitated to go with it as fact, but I could see it. It said that this was the first game where centers went for triple doubles in the same game. I don't know if that's true, but it was a hell of a game from both centers. Alperen Sengun, and obviously Nikola Jokic showed why he is, continues to make a case for the best player in the world. But let me ask you this. Did you feel like that was a well officiated game last night?
No, I mean, no, and also for me though, it didn't feel like away from how most games are. Like I didn't feel like it was just wow. That was, I will never forget. I don't know if you remember this. This was years ago when Kevin Garnett was playing for the Timberwolves, and they played the Lakers in like a playoff game. And I mean, it was so bad. I remember the dudes from TNT came back and just said, like, they tried to steal this game. You don't ever hear like Charles and them, they tried to steal this game. Like that, I remember that thinking, boy, that looks real abnormal. I didn't watch last night's game and think like, this is worse than the regular bad officiating that we see each night. And so I thought it was poor, but it didn't jump off the page to me as worse than what you see most nights. I think it's becoming in sports, and it feels like to me the replay aspect of things has added to it because we get to see everything so much, and I think it affects how they officiate. But it just feels like in every sport, it's an issue, and the NBA is just the same. So it didn't seem to me that far away from what we normally see each night in the NBA.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That it felt more so par for the course, which is really the sad part. That like
Yes.
officiating, and you mentioned the NBA, but I mean it's bad kind of across the board. We see bad officiating in the NFL. We see it in college football. It's probably worse in college sports. But the NBA is right there up there with it. And look, this is to me a theme, and I'm not really sure exactly what is supposed to be done about it because it does damper what I hate. Forget whether your team wins or loses. What I hate is when an otherwise really good or compelling game seems like it is dampered or decided by officiating. And I think it's real easy for the losing side to say that it was decided by officiating. So, of course, the Rockets fan says that the game was decided by officiating, never mind the fact that Nikola Jokic has a 30-something point triple-double. But to me, it does diminish the game a little bit. Like, we're over here talking about the game, and the first thing I should have been asking you about should either been Jokic and his triple-double, Sengun and his triple-double, Kevin Durant and
Defensively.
his five damn blocks and his help defense and just all of it, man. Jamal Murray to start overtime. All of that. There's plenty of stuff that we could get into. And for whatever reason, the officiating is so, and there's probably a number of reasons for this, but the officiating was so bad that somehow became the big takeaway from an otherwise
Well, I mean,
like regular season type. It's one of the better basketball games that has been played all year.
do you think that this takeaway has been enhanced because the head coach of the Houston Rockets went and said, "Fuck it"? I don't know if we can cuss on here,
Yes,
but
we can.
but he just said, "Fuck it, I'm going. I'm taking this bazooka and I'm gonna spray this whole thing." Like, I wonder if it would be as big like that. Like Udoka, he let it rip.
Before you get to Udoka, because I do want to talk about that. I do want to say for the record, and the folks that were a part of the live stream will remember this. I did this live stream last night, and there was a lot of lamenting about the officiating before I had even seen Udoka's post game press conference, and so I was even upset that I didn't wait to hear from Udoka before I went live, because I would have loved to have made that a part of the broadcast last night or a part of the show last night. So this would have been the stance regardless. But enhanced, I think, is fair because you're right. Udoka came out with the bazooka. Like he did
made
not.
It a national story.
Yeah.
He made it a national story. Yeah.
So what did you think about that? Like Udoka, here's my thing. I thought Udoka lost his shit during the game when he got that technical foul. And I was actually worried about him. I was worried about him, his assistant coaches, the officials themselves. I'm like, I think Udoka knows it better than to actually make contact with somebody, but he really looks mad enough to either swing on somebody or to square up. Now, and that was the play where Sengun and Udoka both got technical fouls on that play. And they kind of get it together.
Fouled. And Sengun was fouled and they missed it.
By the
way, Udoka has that if looks could kill. And he more than maybe any other coach that I've ever seen looks like he may hit that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like all the time, like he may be ready to turn in his badge. He seemed like he has that energy, and and I think, like you're saying, I don't think he will, but he's got to like Ozarba had to be thinking, do I need to be ready? Do I need to have my back foot planted and ready?
How high is he on the list of coaches? Maybe even across sports, but certainly in the NBA, how high is he on the list of coaches who, if you get a story, if you get a headline, such and such coach swung on such and such, he's got to be pretty high on the list. I don't most likely to swing on you.
Like, I don't know who's higher. Maybe there's a baseball manager out there because that they may swing. There's a Lou Piniella out there or something, maybe something. But I can't think of. Like, I think Mike Tomlin used to feel that way before, but I think there's a lot of bark there. I'm not saying he's not gonna get down, but we've seen it for years. It seems to be more bark. Like, no, man, he'd be over there just I mean, he like the incident he had with LeBron. Like, he says and does stuff that you have to be prepared that this could get physical.
Yeah.
Right. Like he does. Like I think last night even more proved it. He feels like to me at times the coaching version of Draymond Green.
I can see that.
Like,
I
and
can
I
see
don't
that.
mean like I don't mean fit, like physical. He feels, and I think last night was another example of it. But the coaching version of Draymond Green, that's what he feels like at me. So I don't know. I can't muster up who would be over him. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think Steve Kerr's throwing hands. Like
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. It's like he gives off, hey, this could get not only could this get physical, but sometimes like I want this to get physical. Like it's almost like he's
Yeah.
daring you to swing on him, or kind of letting you know that he's like this close to swinging on you. That's how. And then so last night after the game, he goes on to say that it was one of the worst officiated game, the worst officiated game that he's seen in a long time. That two of the officials did not belong out there, shouldn't even be out there, and that one of them, or the crew chief, was starstruck.
One of the most Zach Zarba, one of the most respected referees, officials in the game, has done countless NBA finals, has ref big games. He doesn't. I don't even think he has the Scott Foster reputation. He
Mm-mm.
doesn't have the AKA Dick, AKA Nick Bavetta, reputation. I think he's really respected, and he hit my man with stargazing.
Hey, him being respected, the only reason why he didn't get, all three of them shouldn't be out there. Like he at least gave him the respect that he deserves his job. But in the meantime, he's stargazing. He's starstruck. Which of the stars was it? Was he struck by Nikola Jokic or Kevin Durant? Like
I mean, I was gonna say
all of them?
it can only be those two, right?
Right.
Like I don't think Jamal Murray's good enough to be starstruck on.
No.
I don't.
I
don't
love
know.
me some Reed Shepherd, but I'm not starstruck.
I don't think Sengun is ready to be starstruck yet. No, I don't think so. Listen, I said it. I said that just now as a precursor that he reminds me of the coaching version of Draymond. And look, people may disagree. People, watching this, and you can do your thing. Hill, you may disagree. I think he went over the top. And I think, as an example of what you said in the game where he went too far, I think he and his temper gets the best of him, very much like Draymond Green. I think it gets the best of him, and sometimes he puts his team in a bad spot. And listen, I don't think the officiating was great. I don't think the officiating is great. I think there's frustrations throughout. I think there are several guys that the league just doesn't know how to officiate. And things happen, right? Sengun and Jokic are two of them. There seems to be a ton of contact, all the time. So and I think it just doesn't feel right that a 1-point game ends on a trying to come through a screen. And I'll be honest, I've seen angles like it's unfortunate. I mean, his leg made contact with Tim Hardaway Jr. coming out of the out of that screen.
The horror.
The
horror.
And he went down. And you can see why the officials would blow the whistle and then would go to the monitor and see that he's running and he makes contact and he trips. And you can see how that would hold up. I do think it's just frustrating and it just feels real weak that the game got tied that way, right? And you, because if you're Udoka or the Rockets, you're like, all right, man, Jokic hits one of these high arcing threes to beat us. All right, take it, but not because this fool came off a screen and inadvertently tripped him, and he went to the line and made a free throw. So that is tough. But I think, and you followed the game, Brandon. Phil Jackson used to do this. Pat Riley used to do this. That's about as early with the Lakers as I start with it. And throughout the year, Steve Kerr is the master at it right now. But guys, especially in the playoffs, would go to officials and go to the press conference and use that as a way to send a message to officials, right? And I think Udoka was on track of doing that. I think the comments of this was the worst officiated game I've seen in a long time. It's unacceptable. That right there, that rolls into the line of, I remember Phil Jackson one time when Michael Jordan tripped on the last second shot against the Pacers, and he said, I don't know what we're doing out here. He's the greatest athlete in the world. He didn't trip over his feet. He got fouled, right? And the next game, we kind of saw that whistle was a little tighter on the Pacers, right? We've seen this. When my man then took the time to go pass, right? There's the line here. And then Udoka just said, to hell with it. And shot himself out of a cannon and took two of the people and said, they don't deserve to be here. And then, well, we just said one of the most respected guys said, he's out here stargazing. I know you've done countless NBA finals and you've been in the biggest games we've ever done, but you were he ain't talking about stargazing over Durant. He's talking about it over Udoka. I mean, over Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that is too far. And that, to me, in the future, potentially puts your team and your ass in because I'm telling you, Zach Zarpa, he's human. Hey, I would tell you what I would be doing if I were them. I'm coming into these games. I ain't going to cheat you, but I'm going to call this bitch by the book. And you be over there saying all kinds of stuff where I could tee your ass up and send you out. And hey, I'm going to tee you up. I'm going to call this thing. We ain't getting no breaks. You ain't getting no breaks. We're going to call this sucker by the book. We ain't talking. We ain't doing nothing. And just human nature. Like, that's beyond the call. That's so disrespectful. What you mean? You know how hard these cats have worked? I know y'all don't give a damn, but these cats have worked for an NBA head coach to come out after the game publicly and say, man, them motherfuckers don't deserve to be here. Right? Like, hell, I'd have been cool if he'd expressed that to them on the floor. But I'm just saying, I think he potentially, and that was another example. I think, as you mentioned, he did it in the game. I think he puts his temper at times gets away from him, and I think it puts his team in a bad spot at times. And we'll see. You know how these dudes are. These dudes are band together. These referees, it ain't just the three of them. These referees, like, hey man, that was over the top. Like, all the other stuff, I think was fair game. You start talking about people don't deserve to be there. And this guy right here, he can't officiate well enough because he's stargazing. Come on, man. That is a little much, I think.
Hey, look, I don't know how hard they work. I can't tell based off the results. I don't know. I know you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not sure how hard they working, to be honest with you. I know they out there during the game running up and down the floor. That's hard work. But I'm not sure how hard they work. I'll say this, though. I think that you're probably right. And I've said this about you before. I don't know if I've told you this in person, but sometimes I wish that I met you earlier in life, or that you were one of my friends in my like teenage and adolescent days when I was really on some fuckboy shit and doing a lot of just like stupid stuff. Because you do have, like, for as fun and as like light as you can be, you also have like this measured, like almost like this kind of grown up responsibility element to you, where I'm like, man, I'll let my immaturity, I don't have a temper, but I have an immature and petty side, a childish side, where that can maybe spill over into temper. And look, sometimes I feel like you got to flip that table on a motherfucker sometimes, every now and then, or you just got to say some inappropriate shit, not because it helps or because it like does anything for your cause, but just because you need to get that shit off. And it felt like that's what this was. But kind of to your point, I would agree that as the head coach of an NBA team, that's not necessarily the way to go about it. You can't be me or handle things the way that I would as the head coach of an NBA team. But I ain't have much of a problem with it.
Like what you said, I believe that you really believe that. I don't know how hard they work. I don't know if they really work that hard.
Can't tell.
But you can see if you on NBC, one of the top partners. This is a national TV game. This wasn't just on Space Home Network, Jack. This was on NBC, in which after the game, they're handing it off to it wasn't Taylor Rooks last night, but it was Derek Fisher and whoever. They had the C team in there, but they're handing it off. This is one of the biggest games of the year. And people, one of the best games we watched. By the way, you mentioned that. I don't want to gloss past that. The Rockets have played two of the best games of the season.
Yes.
Against the Thunder in the first game with that double OT game. And then that one late in the game. See, that's the other thing I'm pissed off of. Late in the game where they just went back and forth where Jokic hit a three. Then Reed Shepherd came down and hit a corner three. And then they go back down and that one dude with that odd, funky release.
Yeah, number 30. Jones.
Thomas or what Jones. Yeah, he's where he
Spencer
coming
Jones.
in and out. It's got a Bill Cartwright feel to it a bit.
Yeah.
He started hitting corner threes. Then Durant came right back down and tied it. I mean, it was nasty. And then Sengun goes and gets. So this was a great game that many people were watching. Like it was a game. It was one of those situations, not at a huge moment like a Super Bowl or something, but it was one of those situations where people are on social media saying, "Damn, look at this Denver and Houston game." To where, oh well, hell, let me get over there. So many people are starting to talk about like this game is coming down the stretch. It's a good game. So you had a lot of eyeballs. They got a lot of eyeballs, right? I'm just saying, when you say that, when you go off the top rope and say something like that, because see, you say I measured. Now, sometimes I measured. I know what happens, but listen. I've told you this multiple times, and you've witnessed it. I will get into the basement with you. I just know when I get into the basement, there's probably going to be some repercussions.
Yeah.
I know on a daily basis when I am at work and I decide to jump into the basement or go underneath lower than the basement because I have a hard time stopping myself, I'm going for it all, Jack. I know I'm probably going to lose that. That's a good potential chance I'm going to lose that person as a listener. But hey, at that time, I make the decision I don't give a rip, right?
Yeah.
Hey, there's some people, let me tell you, there's some people at our job that I feel like ain't up to par sometimes. But I understand if I were to go onto the air and say, "Hey man, I know Brandon's over the digital thing, but boy, I just don't think he did a real like he seems like he don't know what he's doing when it comes to making these videos." I get the understanding that, hey man, there may be some consequences to that.
No more Ron videos.
I was about to say maybe Brandon might say, "To hell with putting your videos on there." But I just man, I think I'm telling you, man, them dudes is human. I don't even know them other two jokers' names who he said don't belong, don't deserve, not just belong. He said y'all don't deserve to be there. Man, I'm teeing your ass up as fast as possible. Shit, you ain't Steve Kerr. You ain't won nothing. The hell do you think you are? Hell, maybe you don't deserve to be here after what you did to Nia. Shit, get out of here, man. That's my mindset.
Hey, you know what? I'm waiting on that to be a response from an official. And then to see what, like, because I think that's what would get Udoka.
We might get an uppercut. Yeah,
that would do it. That would get us to cross that line.
Hey, B.Scott, let me ask you. You think? I know he's going to get fined. Do you think this carries more? Do you think this Do you think this may be a game? You think he might get a game for this?
Yeah, that's a good point because
I know he's getting fined. We know he's getting fined.
That's not a question.
He's criticized officials.
But kind of to your point earlier, like I agree that like if he does get more than a fine, it will be that extra step. Like the fine was coming just on the one of the more poorly officiated games I've seen in a while. That
criticizing officiating,
that would have been fine worthy in and of itself. The extra mile that you're talking about, which again I liked and didn't mind, I think he could still get more than it. Maybe a larger fine or a fine plus potentially a suspension. I hope he doesn't get suspended, but I can see it.
We had to check. Like I'm trying to remember in my mind. I know you cover him. I don't remember the Boston days. Has he had a long history of just? Like, has he been fined for criticizing officiating before?
Oh, I'm certain.
Certain. So that may play a role. Like, if he's a habitual line, like up to the line.
Yeah. Crazy. Now, I do want to ask you about, just since we kind of touched on all of the foolishness of the game with Sengun. Where do you feel like? Oh, so first of all, we mentioned this earlier. Nikola Jokic, he was the player of this game. Be like, I don't want to overstep that or sidestep that. Nikola Jokic, another just incredible game, 39 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists, 13 to 27 from the field, made 5 of his 9 threes. Best player in the world for my money.
And that
Sorry,
seems
Shay.
that seems to be the difference, right? Like when
Yeah.
you watch those two playing, he has the 3-point shot in his bag, right? I think you'll go over Sengun's numbers. They were really, really good too. He didn't make any threes.
Yeah,
right.
He's 14 to 27 from the field and 0 for 2 from 3, including that last shot to end the game. That wasn't a great look. And look, he's an improved 3-point shooter, but he's not a 3-point shooter that you have to guard at the 3-point line the way you do. Absolutely, at least have to try to with Jokic. But I do feel like his game has taken a step. And the big story with the Rockets coming into the season was, of course, them trading for Kevin Durant. And then closer to the season, the Fred VanVleet injury, and how were they going to compensate for that? But I think the thing that has emerged as the big story of the season for the Rockets, at least from my vantage point, I'm curious to your opinion when it comes to Sengun, is that he's gone from really good player, all-star caliber player, to what I'm calling a superstar. I think he actually needs to have a little bit more of like high leverage moments, maybe after another playoff. He's only been in the playoffs once. Maybe we need to get through this season before we can really put him in the superstar status. But based off of how he's playing, based off of how his game has improved, the defense, and even the shot, I know he's not Jokic from 3, but he's just an overall, to me, all around improved player. I'm curious of what you think about the season that Sengun is having and where he kind of is in the pantheon of great players in the NBA right now.
Well, I used to talk about Sengun, the deal, he's compared to the guy who played tonight,
right?
Last night. And I would say he's, this is a poor man's Jokic, but I would always make sure to hear that I've got multiple pours to that. Right. This isn't just a poor man. This is a poor man's Jokic. Like
no
they're
shoes,
not
no shoes on his feet.
Yeah. This is like it is their games. Like if you were to compare his ability to score, get rebounds, and also pass the ball at the center position, that's the closest thing. But they're not in the same stratosphere. I think they're in the same stratosphere now.
Yeah. Last night showed that, I think.
Like I think it's not even poor. I just think it's just a lesser version now of him. And his numbers, presented it's like last night. Yeah. As I said, I think the difference is Jokic hits 5 threes out there. And that separates, but he still had 30, 10, and 10, right? Right. Which is amazing. And he's averaging 23 and a half, 7 assists and 9 rebounds a game. Like I think maybe those rebounds could go up to double figures, but still, man, like he is playing at a second team all NBA level.
Yep.
To me right now. And we're like, he was probably on the fringe last year of being third team all NBA. I think he's a top 15 player easy, maybe top 12. And his ability, and we're seeing more because now he has more space, right? He's got more space with Durant out there, and you've met that with his confidence too has gone up. His offseason playing for his country, I think, and that league over there has really elevated his game as well with the addition of Durant. But yeah, man, this is definitely an all NBA player and beyond all-star, right? Like, dude, we sat here and talked about all last year, like the big thing with the Rockets is, man, they don't have anybody to go to late in the game. You don't feel confident, Jalen Green, whatever. You don't feel confident. They're not consistent enough. They had Kevin Durant on the floor last night.
Yeah.
And they needed to hit a shot at the end to give them the lead, and they went right to him, and he went right to work. And what felt like could have been the game winner, he hits a bucket with less than 3 seconds left. But just the sheer thought that I heard, and I think it was Vince Carter during the game, kept saying, I know Sengun is hot tonight, but I would still go to Durant on late possessions. No, he was the one they went to, and he started to get busy. So like you watch that, Jokic is better, but you don't come away from him thinking like it's a huge gap like Jokic has with other centers. Like he's right in the same ballpark as he is.
Yeah, it was kind of a talking point going into the game, how it'd be important for him to try to go band for band with Jokic, especially considering in the last game that they played back in November, and I was at that game at Toyota Center. That was actually a Reed Shepherd game. At the time, It was Reed Shepherd's career high, and Sengun had a pretty modest game. Jokic had a typical Jokic game, and Sengun had like 14, and it looked like that game looked more like what you used to say about Sengun, how he's a poor man's version.
Yeah.
And so it was important for him to step up in this way.
He would show flashes throughout the game of now he's doing it the entire game, and not just the entire game, but night in and night out.
Yeah. The thing that I want the Rockets to tap into is to kind of just understand what they have in the Sengun, Kevin Durant 2-man game, and they ran a little bit of it, like Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun pick and roll. There was a play. It's their best action, and they don't run it nearly enough for my taste. And there was a play where they ran it. Sengun gets the ball on the pass on the slip, and then goes to the basket and just barrels over Tim Hardaway Jr. and gets called for an offensive foul. Look, man, I would have just did it again and kept doing it again. Those two guys are that good to where I would do two things. When they're on the floor together, I'm running my actions almost exclusively. 90% of my stuff is going to be through them. And then when they're at least one of them is going to always be on the floor when they're not on the floor together. That's just how I would operate. And I think that the Rockets, now, I think you've also seen, though, who they've lost to. They've lost to the Thunder to start the season. Their first NBA Cup game, I think, was against the Spurs, and the Spurs beat them at their own game with all those offensive rebounds. And, the Spurs are going to be right there in the thick of it. And now you got this Nuggets thing where they've lost to them twice, and they'll play them again on Saturday. But I'm just going to tell you this from a Rockets fan standpoint. My thought was, hey, the Rockets are the third best team in the Western Conference that matches up well against the two teams above them. Now I'm starting to be a little concerned with whether they're even the third best, because we've got the Spurs entering the chat. The Lakers have been amazing this year in stretches. And how much do I feel like they, despite having these overtime games against the Thunder and the Nuggets, and I'll take 7 of those, come the springtime, for sure. I'll take 7 games of those. But I'm not feeling as great about how they stack up, and I'm hoping that they kind of figure things out throughout the season, so they can kind of match up a little bit better. But
I guess things I would say to that, one, on I think there's some good and some bad part. Another concerning part is, in particular, to 2 of those games, right? Like last night, I'm thinking, damn, man, what would Aaron Gordon be doing? How much that would he change this game? And also the Thunder game, like they didn't have their second best player either in that first game too. In an all NBA player, Williams, like they didn't have him in the game either. So there is a thought of like, damn, man, they've been full go for the most part. I mean, there's some guys there. Tari Eason has been hurt, and Finney Smith has been hurt, but they've been full go. Those guys have been missing really significant pieces. And by the way, I don't know what in the hell, what has happened to Aaron Gordon about the last 2 years. He's taken his game to a whole nother level, and now just shooting consistent threes. But anyway, you look at that. But then the other part to me with that is, and I think on the good side is, of all of those teams, right, Minnesota's not far behind the Lakers either. Of all of those teams, I don't think there's another team that has the chance to grow from here until April, May, and June than the Rockets. Like I think they have a combination of their top players who haven't played a lot with each other and their top players coming on. Like we've already seen a jump in Amen Thompson from last year just to this point of this season. I believe we'll probably see him get even better. We're seeing a jump from Reed Shepherd already, and he's starting to get comfortable. I think we see a better Reed Shepherd. We're seeing a jump from Smith too. And so I think they've got a lot of young dudes more than like OKC. They've got some young guys, but we pretty much know like maybe Chet can take another leap, but we pretty much know kind of where they are. The Nuggets, they don't have very many young guys. They've got some injured guys over there. Christian Braun's hurt over there too, but we pretty much know where they're going. There's not going to be a lot of just internal growth coming from there. The Lakers, the same, not a lot of internal growth. The Rockets, we're seeing guys have gotten better from last year, and there's going to be growth coming. So that's the other good thing that they can hang their hats on.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I love what I've seen from Jabari Smith Jr. and to those other two who I like to call the former number 3 overall picks, the two guys that they drafted with the 3rd overall pick in their respective drafts, Jabari Smith Jr. and Reed Shepherd. I agree with you that they have taken a step. I'm waiting on another step. I think that there is so much more with both of them, and whether they scratch the surface or whether they're closer to it, like what does that look like? The difference between now and the playoffs, they'll certainly be in the playoffs. What does that look like? That part I am at least intrigued to see, and I want to see more.
Yeah, like they're gonna be better than they are right now in May.
Yeah,
right.
I think Jabari's going to be close to the same because of his role, but he's doing it. I think exactly what they're calling on him to do. But with Amin and Reed specifically, I would say, yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I think they're going to be a whole hell of a lot better. We'll see what the difference is. Like you talk about Aaron Gordon, how his game is taking another step, and I mean he's been in the league a decade at this point. I'm trying to see what that's going to look like for these guys as well. So that's the right. Let me ask you about your team. Okay, I think we've prolonged this long enough, these 40 minutes, because I think the biggest story in sports right now. Anybody can feel free to disagree on the YouTube comments or hit us up on social media if you think I'm crazy for saying this. But I think the biggest story in sports right now, at least if you're, let's just go American sports. I know we're gonna have some folks outside the country that check some of this out because we got Sengun fans out there. But over here in America, the biggest story in sports is Patrick Mahomes suffering a torn ACL. From what I saw, had surgery last night in Dallas to repair the ACL. Well, first of all, there's some confusion on repair and reconstruction. I ain't a doctor. I'm not going to get into that. But he had some kind of surgery on his ACL and LCL. And, of course, even before that, it was looking like the Chiefs. You tell me, we were watching that game together in the NRG Stadium press box, but it was looking like they were probably going to lose that game anyway. They had a chance.
They were going to do what they did all year and find a way.
Yeah,
to lose. Yeah,
but ultimately they did end up losing the game. So it's a double-sided story here. Chiefs out of the playoffs for the first time in a decade, and Patrick Mahomes suffers a torn ACL, trying to fight for the end of their season. A two-part question here for you on the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. What happened? And where do they go from here? Because I feel like when we first started having this conversation and when I first wanted to have you on, I don't think Patrick Mahomes had torn his ACL yet. I think it was just the Chiefs are struggling. They played that game against the Texans a couple of weeks earlier. We were going to have this conversation, but this adds a totally different wrinkle to it, a different element to it. So I want to ask you the question I was already going to ask, which was what happened? But the question of where they go from here to me seems more pertinent with the Mahomes injury. So I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. So, a couple of things with that where, that first part. Overall, I think in the entire conversation about them, because of who they are and now where we are in the sports world, I think people are going to make, to me, a much bigger deal about their issues, their problems, and what happened this year. Right. You're getting they're done. They're not going to come back from this. Dominic Foxworth lost his mind on a 9-month healing process injury, said he believes Mahomes is just not going to play next year. Kelsey is he's done, and he might be, although he is only second to McBride in the NFL in tight end yards this season.
But does he?
I think,
But does he want to play? Does he want to play if Mahomes is going to miss? Let's call it 6-7 games.
yeah, yeah, he very well may retire. I'm just simply telling to the point of like, this has been different than last year. He's like last year he did look like
Cook.
This year, or just like things really diminished quickly. Even though he made the Pro Bowl, things diminished quickly. This year, when able to go, he's looked different. Like he's looked like, oh, he can still be very effective in the league. But to me, I told you this. We talked about this in the press box. There's a combination of, obviously, this is a complete failure at any point, right? Patrick Mahomes in his prime, staring at even the chance that they could be eliminated prior to us hitting Christmas. Like not just hitting Christmas, 2 weeks, but like before hitting Christmas is a failure, right? You know, they've come out of the bye week and they have lost all but one game. And the one game they won, they were down 11 in the fourth quarter to the Colts, right? They've just about lost every good team. Now, they're in every one of these games. They're just finding different ways to lose these games, which was opposite of what they've done over the past several years. And I think the biggest thing that frustrates me with Chiefs fans or non-Chiefs fans or people who try to explain away the why is, and I know this happens at times where we just kind of assess more blame to more people and some people get less blame. Nobody it gets less blame than anybody. They all, like this is the biggest thing. And this, to me, this is the gift and the curse, or the thing that could make you feel better or make you very concerned is I think overwhelmingly the reason why they struggled is because their top players did things in games to screw them. Like it was their top players that hurt them as much as anybody. And they just had a bunch of, man, this don't feel like the ball is rolling your way. Yep. Like this feels like anytime you think something's going well, something else freak happens. So it's a combination of those things. And they've had adversity, but their best players are able to come through. Like people are absolving, or at least trying to lessen or downplay the Mahomes problems. Mahomes was as big a problem damn near as anybody on the team.
Well, he can't throw deep balls anymore. What happened? Like, how did that become a thing? Patrick Mahomes.
He struggled with that for about 2 or 3 years. But it's not even just the deep balls, man. He has had crippling turnovers in games that are all tight. Like they have 6 wins and they've been fighting to try to get back in it. Right? He however you want to do it, him and Kelsey weren't on the same page, but he throws a pick against the Eagles in week 2 as they're inside the 5, about to take the lead in the fourth quarter. He takes a pick, and again, bad execution between him and Kelsey, but then also just bounces aren't going your way. The ball bounces right up in the air, right to an Eagle defender, and he takes it back into scoring zone all the way back. They're inside the 5. Against Jacksonville, he throws in a tie game a pick 6, 99 yards, first down and goal. They're inside the 5. That completely turned the game around, right? He did it against Denver. Got to have it coming off the bye week. They're driving again to take the lead in the second half, and he tries to get aggressive and throws a pick at the goal line. And even in this game where he got hurt, the score is 16-13 in the fourth quarter. You got to have this game to stay alive. And he tries to throw a jump ball to Kareem Hunt on 3rd and 12 when he's got a 30-yard field goal. And he throws a pick. Those are just the ones that we can see. And all of those games are one-possession games. And not just one-possession games, like 3 points that and that's just things we could see. He missed receivers. Like, I know it's tough to kind of talk about in especially in light of the injury, but he didn't trust the offensive line at times when he was getting mythical pressure and he would take off. He missed guys all throughout the season. He missed throws. And as you said, the deep ball, man, hell, I don't think Andy and their offensive staff had a great year either. And I think there's going to be some changes with maybe how they do things and definitely with some personnel. But I mean, you can't draw up touchdowns and your quarterback, who is the best in the world, can't hit them. They open up the game against the Broncos, got to have it. They had 2 wide open touchdowns on plays 2 and 3 of the 4 of the game in the first drive, and he couldn't hit either one of them. So I think he struggled. Chris Jones struggled. There were moments in this season where Chris Jones just didn't show up. Andy Reid.
Beginning of the season, him and Drew Tranquil going at it. That was
a selfish first game of the season. Yeah, a selfish move that he made there. Then obviously the well-documented Jacksonville thing where he was standing there in the middle. Like, and just moments where he just wasn't a factor in the way that you would need him. You would just, like, there was a point there where, like, the fun stat was, like, through 6 games, Jamar Chase had more tackles than Chris Jones had. Now he is doubled and triple teamed often, but I mean, it was just, he just wasn't making the impact, right? Travis Kelce has had multiple drops that have turned into interceptions, right? This year, right? And like
that one with Aziz was one that a lot of Texans fans will remember, where the ball hits him in the hands, he bobbles it a couple times, and Aziz is just right there to scoop it up.
The Eagles one, he had one against Washington that hit him right in the hands that popped up for an interception. Right, like Trent McDuffie has had struggles this year. The Dallas game, they just couldn't get one stop from him. Andy Reid lost his mind multiple times this year, which culminated in the Texans game, where he just gave the momentum to the Texans and put them in position to win the game, and they took advantage of it. So it is a combination of everything. Like, their top players not coming through. I don't know that it is a deal of they're just all getting old, because all of them aren't old. They just made mistakes, many of it self-inflicted. Rashee Rice dropping the ball. You know, he's had a case of the drops about the last month. He's just dropped multiple big passes, which is not normal for him. So, I mean, and then when you combine into the weird shit, like, you know, they lose Rice for the first 6 games of the season. Thought it might happen in the middle of the season, but at the last minute, it was the first 6 games. 3 plays into the season, Travis Kelce mows over Xavier Worthy, who was going to be the big play guy, and dislocates his shoulder, and he has to miss several weeks because they ran into each other.
Yeah, and he's also too small to be running into Travis Kelce full speed.
And this is a route that these two have run 1,000 times and ran into each other in the middle of the game, right? And then they had the Josh Simmons things, who is potentially going to be a really, really great tackle in this league, and when he has played, shown it. But he went on a 5-week hiatus where nobody really, at least reported, knew why he wasn't with the team. And then when he came back, he had a freak injury on a chip block from Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt face mask shattered his wrist. Then they got to a point there where they were down to their 6th and 7th tackle, and Trey Smith hasn't played in a month. And they just never really got to play with each other. When Rashee Rice comes back, Isaiah Pacheco goes down and he misses a month. Josh is going, like, it's just weird stuff. And then it culminated to Patrick Mahomes with a minute something left in their season, tears his ACL. It's just like it's just crazy stuff. And a lot of the breaks and maybe some of the fortune they would get has dissipated this year. So I just think it's a full combination. But then to the other part, B.Scott, I don't think this is as big of a, oh man, they have got to blow this thing up. I don't think so. I think they have already started the transition of fixing their offensive line. I don't think Rashee Rice stinks. I don't think Xavier Worthy stinks. I think there are some moves. I think the biggest thing for them is their pass rush. They've got to get some other guys around Chris Jones. But if you've watched the second half of the season, Chris Jones is still capable of being a very big impact player on the defensive line. You just have to give him some help, right? And all of this, when you think about the Chiefs, even with their last two bad games that I think a lot had to do with their offensive line, they are still one of the few teams in the NFL that have a top 10 defense and a top 10 offense. They've got a top 5 defense, total defense, and the number 7 or 8 total offense. Right. And they have left a lot out on the field. So I think there are some moves with pass rush, running back, and some other things. But I obviously I don't agree with Nick Wright. I don't think Mahomes is back week 1. But, I mean, I can see him missing a month, right? Like week 1 is like August or September is 9 months. That's the total healing process of the recovery of this injury. So I can see him being back in October, after whatever the first month of the season. And they're going to have a third-place schedule. They're going to have, for the first time, not having to play a gauntlet of teams. So, no, I don't think they're done. I just think this was partly a weird year that had a combination of a lot of odd things happening, injuries, missing pieces, and also your big-time players just not coming through, but just doing boneheaded things, led by Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah, I would push back on anybody that says that it's time to blow it up. But the thing that did stand out, and look, I don't know what the timelines are going to be. Mahomes' recovery. I know people talk about him being a maniacal competitor and that being one of the things that kind of sets him apart as an all-time great. But like the idea for me and with the injury is that this already felt like a lost year because of all of the things that you just went over. And then just the uncertainty with Mahomes and when exactly he'll be back, what he's going to look like when he comes back, to me, almost turns next year into a semi-potential lost year as well. That's not to say to blow it up, because I think whenever Mahomes gets healthy, you're right back to being the team that has Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. And as long as Andy Reid is still lucid, I know he had a rough year this year, but as long as you got that combination of guys, I don't think that you blow it up. It just now seems like a weird year can now transition into, because of this Mahomes injury, can transition into a lost year, whether next year is weird or not. So that to me is really the tough part. Like I've thought the difference in watching the Chiefs for me, and I think you laid out pretty well of why this is. You talk about the one possession games that they played in. Forever, they have been the team that's been able to finish games. We hear the cliches all the time from every football team. We got to finish better. What do you need to work on? Finishing. What's the difference in why you're good now and you weren't good before? It's because we finished now. Well, the Chiefs were the epitome of that. The team that finished games. When they play one-score games, they was going to win it. And it always felt inevitable, like they were going to win it. And this was the year where it did not feel that way. It kind of to your point, like they're going to find a way to mess it up. They're going to find –
They didn't feel it. They didn't feel it. Like they've won six.
That's what stood out. It didn't feel like they felt it either.
They've won 6 games. 5 of them have been blowouts.
Yeah.
And the Colts game. I would just, and I think everything you're saying is fair. Again, as I said, to start this thing, I think it's because of who the Chiefs are and how we do things in sports now. Everything is much bigger, and we just push everything on what just happened. And I would just caution and urge, like, Andy Reid is not one of the best coaches of all time because of what he did with Mahomes. Andy Reid is thought to be maybe the best offensive mind and best coach because he is able to do a lot with less. Right? So if you're, and obviously this is an organization. Like, a lot of people are losing their minds. Like, oh, Brett Veach, the general manager, doesn't know what he's doing. And I saw somebody post and say John Dorsey is the one who has all the great players on here and just have completely forgotten just over the years the L'Jarius Sneeds, the McDuffies, the Rasheed Rices, like all the guys they've also gotten, since Brett Veach has been the general manager. This has been one of the, if not the best run organization to be picking where they pick all the time and to have the money tied into the great players that they have. And they have still been able to do this year in and year out, 7 straight years. So that organization is now going to potentially get a top 12 pick. That organization is motivated to start to make good moves. And Andy Reid is there. And I'm telling you, like, all right, Andy, man, you got to make this thing work without Pat for a month. Can you pull it off? I think the thought to say it's going to be a lost year because Pat's going to miss the first week, or this is going to severely hurt them. We don't even know what the schedule is going to look like and what those first 4 to 6 games will look like and what the team will look like. And like we've seen Mahomes be out before and he make it work. The year they won the Super Bowl, Mahomes was out and they went like 4-1 in the time frame that he was out. We've seen them not have offensive linemen and they make it work. And it is not just like, if you look at it, we watched game plans against the Texans. Like they minimized the biggest threat. They just couldn't make enough plays in the game that were there. So I would caution to slow down to think that Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo can't hold it together for 4 weeks until Mahomes comes back against a third place schedule. So yeah, and the moves that this team will make in the offseason. So I just don't just let this bad year let you forget about everything that those guys have been up until this point. And to remember, with this bad year, they had a top 10 offense and top 10 defense. With all the stuff that occurred.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I was still picking them all the way up and through that Texans game. I thought they were going to beat the Texans that night. So I'm definitely with you there. Those are all fair points. Let me get you out of here on this because both of us got to move here.
Yes, sir.
The Texans. I'm gonna throw a question at you that you threw at me last week on the drive. And I should have mentioned, by the way, I'm on the drive every Wednesday at 4:40 with Ron the Show, Hughley and Clint Sterner on Sports Radio 610. But you asked me, what kind of contender are the Texans? I'm going to throw that question to you with the caveat that they did just most recently win another game since you asked me that question and finally put up 40 points on the team, albeit a team that nobody really respects. But what would you say to that question? What kind of contenders exactly are the Texans?
Well, I think they are contenders, and I would not be surprised if they got to the AFC Championship game. So I think they're contenders to get to that point. I think they are real AFC contenders with a bit of an asterisk. And that is, I think they can beat any team in the field. I think they're really, I'll be honest with you, when I look at this team and how I have watched football for the last however many years I have covered it closely and watched it as a fan, that does not look like a Super Bowl team, right? They have a lot of flaws that you would generally see, you would think would stop them, especially as we sit right now as a team that will have to do it on the road all the way through. Usually that type of team it doesn't have enough to get there, but the field is different this year. And what I would say is I think they can beat everybody in the field, but I think the way they play, they have the ability to lose to anybody in the field and lose to some teams that aren't even in the field, right? Like their games for the most part, withstanding this 40-point output they put out against the Cardinals. But their games, the way they play, they always keep teams in the game. Even if their defense is dominating them, they always keep teams in the game. I'm talking from the Chiefs. I'm talking from the Jags. I'm talking from the Titans. They always keep teams in the game. And that is the concern on the road. Can the way they play, can they do that 2 times, 3 times to get to where they want to get to? And I think it's really, really difficult. Now, we'll see. Does CJ keep coming on? But we watched him. The second half against the Chiefs, the second half against the Bills, the second half at some points against the Colts, I think that style is hard pressed for them to win 2-3 in a row to get to places they've never been. And so that's to me where the concern is.
Ron the Show Hughley, at least the show for now. Ron the Show Hughley of the Drive, Sports Radio 610, 2 to 6, Monday through Friday. That's 2 to 6 Central Time. For those of you that are wondering, Ron, man, I appreciate you. Look, this was fun. I feel like we got to do this a little bit more often. Both of us do have to roll, but we got to make more time for this, man. This like it's not like you and I aren't actually doing a show within a show away from the show anyway. People don't know about this. This is me kind of letting y'all pulling the carpet back, to use a Drive reference.
That's right.
But we'll do this again, man. I appreciate you for joining me, man. Let's kind of make a regular thing of it, man.
Why not, man? Why not? It's fun. I like to have fun.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. That is Ron the Show Hughley of the Drive at Sports Radio 610. This is the B Block Podcast. Want to appreciate everybody for checking us out on YouTube, on the audio only platforms. Yeah, man. Subscribe, rate, review,
like and subscribe, baby. Do your
tell
thing.
A friend. Kind of get the word out. You can do it old school. Hey, you whisper in somebody's ears, play the telephone game, whatever it is. As long as they get back to the B Block, as long as by the end of the telephone game they get back to the B Block and check us out, we'll be happy with that. So, for Ron the Show Hughley, I am Brandon Scott. This is the B Block Podcast, and until next time, y'all be good.